Hey everyone, this is Steve Good and welcome back to the Coin Chat. Yuri, welcome back. I'm back from my 1 week vacation and I'm ready to get back onto our chats again.
Wonderful. Welcome back, Steve. How was Disney World?
Disney World was great. Mickey sends his regards.
Excellent.
Goofy could easily have been replaced by you that day had you been there, but that's okay. And we had breakfast with Minnie and Donald Duck, which was great. So the kids loved it.
Oh, that's great. When I was there last, and it was years ago, I went scuba diving at the Epcot Center with Mickey Mouse, which was it was amazing to see somebody scuba diving in a Mickey costume. So
are you being serious?
I am totally serious. They put Mickey in the Epcot Center giant fish tank with you, and he's got 3 people with him because clearly it's really dangerous, but it's still. I love it to see the mascots all over the place. So breakfast sounds amazing, and even scuba diving.
Yeah, they have all the Disney characters coming around at this one brunch where they kind of come table by table, and of course the kids are barely eating breakfast because they're so excited. They're yelling and screaming, "Look, there's Minnie, there's Daisy, there's Goofy," and they're walking around the room going from table to table, and you take photos with them, and the kids are so excited, and they're giving high fives and kissies and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it was good to have a little break and travel over to Orlando and just take the kids for a couple of days just to chill because everyone needs that. And the kids loved it. And, of course, wife and husband can't deny that they also did a little sneaky evening and went to Space Mountain, so we had fun, too.
That does sound like a fun, sneaky evening.
Yeah, it was. Well, that plus a country dinner date night, having Thanksgiving dinner style, in some sort of country restaurant on the campus at Disney World, which was pretty cool.
That is really cool. So, in your travels, were you able to spend cryptocurrency or attempt to spend some?
I certainly attempted to because I broke my sunglasses and I had to buy a new pair. So I went to the Sunglasses Hut, and actually the Sunglasses Hut was on the grounds of Disney World, and just a shout out to the team there. They are one of the most awesome shops I've ever been to. The girls working there were just so sweet, and they were really nice to our boys, and it was really fun. But so I did ask one of the girls if I could pay with Bitcoin, and she said Bitcoin. She says I've never seen Bitcoin before. And I said, you haven't? And I said, do you know what it is? And she said, isn't it some sort of digital currency? And I said, it is. She said, oh, then hang on a second. I guess it's not printed. I guess I couldn't see it if it's digital, could I? I was like, wow, that's so clever. I was like, you're absolutely right. She's like, no, we don't accept it. I mean, I've never really used it, but I kind of know what it is. And then I think she was like an assistant manager, and she was kind of half listening, and she said, yeah, she said, you're not the first one to ask this. And, and I have to say that Sunglasses Hut hasn't jumped on board yet on this whole crypto Bitcoin thing, but we really should accept Bitcoin.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, these girls were really switched on. I was super impressive. Yeah. Very impressed.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you're getting closer and closer. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, sooner or later I'm going to have to go buy some Bitcoin so I can spend it.
Exactly. Someone's going to say yes, and you're going to go, okay, give me a moment.
Yeah, just give me a second. It's going to take me an hour. I got to buy some now so I can spend it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was really cool to be able to actually try and get such a nice response on the whole experience that you're right. I felt like I was really close to actually being able to spend it for the first time. At least they were keen and ready to accept it. They just didn't know how to do it. And they knew what it was.
Well, that's good. So what are some things in the news that have you really excited right now?
Well, there's what's really interesting is that despite the fact that crypto's been certainly down for a little while now, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, which of course in crypto world is a long time. It's like the longest bear market ever from crypto. But there's a lot of big names now making indications of getting into it. So one of them is a guy that I followed for a while called Mike Novogratz, who people probably don't necessarily know unless they're following the world of hedge funds and investment management. But he's a guy that was part of another firm called Fortress, which is a pretty big name in the world of, money management. Mm-hmm. And he left Fortress last year to create his own company called Galaxy Investment Partners. And they haven't launched the crypto fund yet, but the whole point of the firm is to launch crypto funds for investors. And then just recently in the news, I saw that he's now recruited a guy out of Goldman Sachs to join him. So that's big, because we're seeing some really big names now jumping into crypto with the intent of launching funds and investing. Mm-hmm. And then following that, I saw the news that George Soros, another really big name in the world of investment management, probably equal to that of Warren Buffett in terms of, big name investor. And he's jumping into crypto and announced it the other day. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like a really big week. And it seems to be kind of lost in the news because everyone's still too depressed about the rise and drop of Bitcoin, that they've kind of lost sight of the fact that there's some really, really cool news going on out there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, because in addition to that, I also heard that, the Rockefeller family office is also jumping in there. So it seems like a lot of big institutional investors.
I didn't see that. Yeah, that's a big, that's like, one of the top 5 richest families in the world, right? That's like the big 5 families. So yeah, how interesting. So that's big. So that's great. That's super positive. I'd like to hope that this will translate to, some buying behavior that'll drive the market. Hopefully not shorting the market, but more buying. But, the only thing I'm always a bit suspect of is that normally people announce stuff after they've already started doing it rather than before. But I guess in the case of these guys, I don't think any of them have actually started. I think they're just in declaring intent, maybe more so because of the way the U.S. is regulating stuff so heavily that they want to kind of get in front of it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And actually, that's a good thing, because if they're in front of it, that means everyone else is behind and they're the first ones in, which is probably pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. So I want to continue our good news of cool things in crypto, but are you familiar with the company Donor's Choice, or actually the foundation Donor's Choice?
No.
So it's this amazing project, and it's set up for public schools in the U.S. and basically most of the public schools it represents are from students of color or from underfunded areas, and teachers can put up these projects that they want to fund, because unfortunately teachers and schools have no money. So it could be field trips, it could be like robotic kits or microscopes. And so, they put up what their projects are on Donor's Choice, and people can, pay money and help out these teachers. Well, the founders of Ripple decided to fund all of them. And so
all of them.
All of them. So
how many projects are we talking about?
35,647 were fully funded by Ripple. They spent $29 million.
Wow.
And these were requests of more than 28,000 teachers. So
these teachers are wishing they had made bigger requests now, I bet.
Exactly.
Damn it, I should have asked for more pencils.
Yeah, but it's just, so, there's been, a lot of celebrities jump into Donor's Choice for once in a while, but nobody has ever fully funded everything all at the same time. And so it was just...
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing testament to what, like, the Ripple...
I would love to get the Ripple guys on this just to talk about that, not even the project, but just the kind of logic around how they came up with this particular thing to fund and how they approached it. So,
yeah,
if the Ripple guys or anyone out there knows Ripple, please get them in touch. I would love to chat with them about this and just hear the story, because I think that's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's fantastic. They're just separating their own personal goals from the company and just funding amazing things. So that's great.
Well, that is kind of one of the goals everyone has in crypto, is to do the good of mankind first before you go off and make a killing from it, because first we need to fix a lot of the things that are seen as broken by many people. So I think that's an amazing, I'm so impressed. That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it is. Definitely helping out teachers is a fantastic way to start that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Yuri. That's really cool. I missed that completely. So I'm really glad you spotted that.
Yeah, of course, of course. So I want to then jump into today's topic, which is something that's near and dear to your heart and things that you've noticed, which is the number one mistake that most ICOs and businesses make.
Oh God. Yeah. It's funny because, I'm watching a lot of ICOs and I pay attention to what's going on because it's important to me to stay as close to it as I can. And what's really interesting is I started to compare the behaviors of ICOs and started mapping it back to sort of sales process, because I was in sales for many years in big corporate, big corporate IT sales. But actually the process of going from awareness to creating customer loyalty is not something that's necessarily unusual. There's a model that I learned from a brilliant marketing guy years ago. And it was a model that I'll mention him, a guy called Barnaby Wynter, who I've mentioned before. We should really try to reach out to him and get him on here, because I think he's a mad marketeer. He's brilliant. But these 6 steps that he had, taught me, and I've kind of modified them a little bit for the purposes of using them in the context of raising money and crowdsourcing and the kind of newer ways that companies are trying to grow their platforms. And what's really interesting is that everyone's making the same mistake again and again. Mm-hmm. And the mistake that they're making is that, the first thing, so let me tell you what the steps are first, so then it'll make more sense. So the first step is that you need to make people aware of your project, which you would think is a no-brainer, but people are launching ICOs and saying, give me money. Mm-hmm. And how is that any different than a man that sits on the street that says, hey, could you spare a man, $1 to help him out? I mean, you don't know who these guys are. You don't know if they're a scam. You don't know if they're a legitimate project. You don't know if the project is even something that interests you. Mm-hmm. And so many ICOs are going straight in saying, hey, I've launched my ICO. Please give us money. And I started really analyzing this, thinking, why is this so fundamentally broken? Where is the actual part of the brokenness? And what I realized is I start to look at the Telegram channels for a lot of these ICOs. They have 1,000 people in their channel. They have 2,000 people in their channel. And I'm thinking, well, okay, there's a really obvious problem here, which is they forgot to start with fundamental 101, which is awareness. Mm-hmm. So step 1 is you have to make people aware of your project, and that means you spend money on marketing. It can either be done organically, doing lots of search engine optimization and lots of, content creation and lots of, engaging people through LinkedIn, through Twitters, Facebooks, whatever. But you go out of your way to build it organically, or you promote your project, not necessarily the ICO aspect, but the project and the company, which is still, valid for any company, whether it's ICO or not, to promote the company and make people aware of it. Mm-hmm. And people are skipping that completely. And they just if there's no awareness, how are you going to get money in?
Yeah.
Right. So then of course you're logically asking, so what's the next step after you're aware of the project? Mm-hmm. So the second one is called image or image match.
Image match. What does that mean?
So that means that what you see as an initial reaction to, let's say, for example, you see an image on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So what I've done now is I'm taking the kind of the emotional response and I'm converting this now to an alignment to social media channels. If you see an image on Instagram, you either look at that image and go, oh, wow, that's a really cool image. And it aligns with something that's congruent with your mentality, or you don't. And you'll go, oh, this image is awful. I hate the person that posts this stuff. Or, oh, this is such cool stuff. I love the stuff they're posting. I love the images. Or I love these little tweets that they post with the image and the text or the video. It's all really cool. And it aligns with or makes me feel good or aligns with my psychology. And I kind of get it. Mm-hmm. Right? So an image match is essentially saying that what you see in some way entices you, interests you, or you have a match between what they post and how you feel, or it aligns to you in such a way that you want to engage and follow them more.
Okay.
So you've gone now from awareness to the first level of engagement, which is I'm actually following them because what I see actually resonates with me as something I like to follow. And then what follows from that is the next step, which is fact or fact match. So fact match is basically exactly as it is. You check out the facts and find out whether or not what you saw in imagery aligns to what you now start to read about them. For example, their website, their white paper, Medium articles, press releases about them, looking at their LinkedIn profiles and reading up about who the people are. And then you say, well, it's interesting. I like the imagery, but that imagery or that sort of very kind of high-end promotional cool stuff was great, but actually it doesn't align with me at all. And when I read the text and I read all the information about them, there's a complete disconnect.
Yeah.
And then you kind of lost the user.
Okay.
So that, of course, the fourth step is response. So response being exactly that, yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so I'm
aware of them.
That's the response. Is that a response from the company or just the response to your fact match from the customers?
This is about you, the individual, going through a journey that's discovering a new company. So first you become aware of the project, then you have some sort of an image match where you feel like what you see out there aligns to your core values, and then you see that what is written also still aligns to core values or your interests or your reasons why you would involve yourself in that project in any way. Okay, and bear in mind, all of this is leading toward loyalty to the brand later.
Right.
So this is all about branding and sales, and the connection and marketing and sales is so closely aligned. Sometimes people forget that because they just think, oh, I'm out there, I'm selling it and people will buy it. But that's not how the world works. You have to align to the brand and say, does this brand, and brand is a big word, but actually it's really saying, does the company and what it portrays align with me? The way that Nike's got their very kind of sporty, cool shoes, sports heroes, feeling that everyone wants to get a pair of Nikes on and go out and shoot basketball or play football on the pitch. And by football, I mean soccer for Americans. Sorry.
That's okay.
But the same thing. It's like you start with, I'm aware of Nike. I love the imagery of Michael Jordan jumping and dunking the basketball into the hoop. And then I read up about the shoes, and they're amazing, comfortable shoes. I try them on and they're great. And then response, I want these shoes. Can I afford them? Well, that's the next one. Okay. That's where usage comes in. Okay. I want to use them, but I can't afford them. Or in the case of ICOs or companies, I kind of align usage with, now that I'm aware, I like the image, I like the facts about the company. My overall response is, I'm interested. I want to kind of learn a bit more. Now you have an opportunity to participate in an ICO, for example. I think I'm going to invest in this. Mm-hmm. And then, or no, I'm not going to invest in this. It looks like a scam, or it's got a celebrity attached to it. Not very cool. I think it looks a bit dodgy.
Right.
But this is equally applicable to, startups, existing companies. It's not just about raising funds. It's also about, getting people engaged and involved in your company. And so many companies are making this mistake right now of, I've launched an ICO, please invest. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't go through the image, fact, response phases. You've taken me straight to usage. And why the hell, honestly, to any ICOs listening, why the hell do you expect anyone to give you money if they don't even know who you are, and they don't even know if what you offer is even in alignment with them and whether the people feel comfortable with you? You have to build some sort of connection with them. And I am seeing this every single day of the rush to quick money. And I hate to say it, but sorry, the whole world of quick money and ICOs may have been there, back in 2017, but it's over. It's not easy quick money anymore. You got to work for it, and you got to build awareness and build some loyalty and get a connection with people and engage with them on, on your Telegram channel or whatever channels you talk to your user base on, Twitter or otherwise, and engage and talk to people and show you're authentic, show that you're open, and show that you're actually a legitimate company, because that's going to create the response that people say, okay, great, yeah, I'll invest in the project, or okay, yes, I will buy some of your products.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way for companies, I guess nowadays, to test and see where their buyers are or their potential customers are in this process? Like, if is it like you just described, a new series on Telegram or some new things they put out? But how would they know?
Well,
especially if they're doing a bad job.
Yeah, I mean, good versus bad is usually pretty obvious by the number of retweets, likes, subscribes, people joining your Telegram channel, and then within a Telegram channel, how much engagement do you even get in there? Mm-hmm. Are you getting response or no response? Are people asking questions, meaning that they're still in the image and fact match phase, or they're trying to validate their own response to what they're seeing as, yes, this response for myself, yeah, it aligns, I like it. Mm-hmm. And yes, I could see using your platform. Usage again is also about, could I use your platform in the future? So I'm asking questions because I want to know whether or not this platform will solve problems I've got. So, you've got two types of users in the world of not just startups, or ICOs, but for everybody, there's at least two types of users. But there's always the investor, and there's always the potential user of the platform. Mm-hmm. So for people who aren't looking to invest, but are looking for a solution to a problem, whether it's data privacy or a social media platform or a financial app for loans or payments, or, an energy platform for getting electricity cheaper, whatever the project is, the same rule applies about the person who's going to use the platform. The question is whether or not first of all, how do you become aware? It's, the problem is, it's not what you know, it's what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So the awareness challenge is to make people aware of what they're otherwise unaware of when it comes to a new project. So you want to make people aware, as many people as you can, and then give them the ability to find out about you and dig into the details and go, gosh, yeah, this is a great project. This is really interesting. I've been dying to find something that does this. This is amazing. And actually does more than I realized. Okay, the project is not out yet, but I definitely want to sign up to their newsletter. I want to participate in the future because I know this is a project that probably solves some problems that I've got and I want to use it. And that's usage as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So either I go and invest in Nike or I want to buy the shoes. Both are equal forms of usage. Mm-hmm. But I haven't talked about loyalty yet.
Oh, sure. So that comes at the very end then? Or is that
right. So awareness, image, fact, response, usage. And number 6 is loyalty. Okay. So loyalty is fascinating because you see, now that you've actually gotten people to commit to either provide an email address to be a future user of the platform, or have launched the platform and are now getting people to use it, or in the context of an ICO, they've now launched the project, they're now raising money, and yes, I've decided to invest and put money in. Just because I've put money in does not mean I'm going to be a long-term loyal, brand ambassador that's going to go around sharing and liking and telling other people about it. Because that's ultimately what you really want, is the loyalty where people are so committed. It's like Apple that, if you're an Apple user, you swear by Apple and everything Microsoft is rubbish. And if you're a diehard Linux fan, then, same thing applies. Or if you're a diehard fan of Nike, then, Adidas or other shoes are just not good enough. And it's always the same that, if you build enough loyalty into a brand, people will stick to that brand and die and just, no matter what changes, once you've got enough loyalty, those changes usually people can accept. Mm-hmm. But when you're in the early stages, like an ICO, the list of things that can then thwart loyalty are just unimaginable. And this is where ICOs really, really just completely don't get it. So, the first thing that I see a lot of, and is really kind of ironic and funny, is that you'll find a lot of ICOs that forget that when people give you their money, there's a reason that they've given it to you. Mm-hmm. It's because they want it back. And they want it back in your tokens. And that doesn't mean that they give you the money and they want to sit around for 6 months or 8 months waiting for you to get listed on an exchange. It means they're expecting you to be on an exchange right away, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks later. Now, there is some reality checking that goes on here because you can't always get listed on exchanges straight away. It does take time, and that's another problem that we have, that user communities don't understand that part, which is, I see this tons of times. When will you be listed on the exchange? Which exchanges will you be on? I mean, those are probably the two most common questions that you see in every Telegram chat when ICOs are running.
Okay.
But they don't know because they don't know when they'll be listed because they have to wait till the ICO completes before they can get listed. I mean, you can start discussing with the exchanges, but no one's going to list you until the ICO completes and until you go through the application process. But I've seen ICOs just drag it out for months. And if you were trying to build loyalty, that's a great way to kill it. Because now you've just lost all interest in the project because people have lost, it goes back to your fact match. The facts on the ground before you invested were, we're a highly energized team, we're motivated, we're going to move fast. And then 6 months later, you just got listed on the exchange where you should have done it in 2 months.
Right.
That misalignment leads you to full circle right back from invest to, now I'm going to go check the facts again. My response is, nah. My next response is usage, sell. Mm-hmm. As soon as it hits the exchange, I'm dumping the coins. So I often say that, loyalty can actually be destroyed, before you've even really built the long-term ambassador style loyalty. You can destroy it through a whole lot of things. I mean, if you're not congruent in your messages or your imagery, the facts on the ground said one thing and now you're changing your story. Oh, people hate that. If your engagement stops, if you don't keep, a lot of the ICOs and actually companies are intermittent on their communications on Medium, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And that's a huge mistake because once people, and it's like YouTube. If you go to a YouTube channel and you watch the YouTube and there's a video every single week and the video suddenly stops for a week, people say, what's happened? Like we stopped for a week. So we probably had that, where did they go? Well, we took a vacation and sorry, we forgot to let people know we were going to take a week off and now we're back. Yeah. But if we disappear for 3 or 4 weeks, then people say, well, where have they gone? They've disappeared. And then they come back again and then they disappear again. And that inconsistency leads to people's frustration. So you can't just stop engaging with, your social media and your user engagement after an ICO or after a crowdfunding or after launching a startup. In fact, you probably have to do even more after the fact. And even, small and mid-sized businesses kind of go in waves of on, off. And that just doesn't work because people expect consistency in message.
They do. This is so not, I love that you bring this up also with crowdfunding campaigns because I've worked on a few of them and, we had to do a huge push to get things going. And then some of the founders make a terrible mistake and just kind of fall off the earth after they've gotten funded. And so now all the buyers start calling them scams and start calling them out because they want to make sure that they're going to get a product in place of their money.
Yeah. And it's very common for a company that raises money that says, oh, I've got the money now. Now I'm going to go heads down and I'm going to go build the product. Mm-hmm. Well, fine, go build the product, but don't suddenly switch off and forget your users. I mean, I have seen ICOs do first round of funding successfully, and they just switch off and they stop talking to their users. And then they say, oh, we don't know if the rest of our ICO is going to be very successful because we've stopped talking to our users. And I just look at them and say, why did you do that? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I get the whole idea that you want to build your platform, but really, do you want to do that at the cost of loyalty? Mm-hmm. Because there's no point building a platform if you don't have the ongoing relationship being built that leads to long-term loyalty and brand ambassadors, and you're going to end up with usage flipping right back to no thank yous. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's a lot of other things that happen, like sites can get hacked or spammed. As I said, coins may not get listed fast enough. Users can't get their money back in their hands because effectively, if you invest, isn't it? And this is also true for people that invest in startups, not ICOs. You put your money into a startup and you may have a 2 to 3 year time horizon in which you've made an investment in that project or that company and you want your money back. You don't want it locked in that company forever. You want to be able to get your shares out and have made money from the investment in 2 or 3 years time, which is typical for, VC and startup type investment. And the same rules apply. And if the VC is sitting there, venture capitalist is sitting there, and 5 years on, they're still trying to get their money out, that's not a good relationship anymore.
No, it's not.
So, of course, product delays don't help. Telling things that you've never mentioned before as if they were sort of fait accompli, or they were sort of done deal, that's how it was always going to be. But you don't tell people this, and then all of a sudden you're announcing things and people are saying, hang on a second, you never mentioned this before. This does not align as the facts go that you gave me when I invested. So now I feel like I've been cheated. Mm-hmm. So, all of those things kill the potential for the loyalty, which immediately leads to some of the pump and dump that occurs with ICOs, because people that are getting into some of the pump and dump are literally saying, I'm aware, you know what, I'm just going to put a bunch of money in and I'm going to sell it straight away. And that's happening in part because people have decided not to get involved in the project because they didn't have to, because it wasn't part of the prerequisite of that ICO. They just jumped in and said, give us money. And people say, okay, I'll give you money, but I've got no fact, no image match. I've had no response other than, you know what, put the money in and sell it. And that's the response I've decided to take, which is I've decided to go for pump and dump. Not yes, I'm committed. Not no, I'm not committed. Yes, I'm committed. As soon as I get the money out, I'm out. Mm-hmm. And that actually is partially, I would say, a result of the way that companies are behaving. And I guess the good news is because there's more ICOs than there is money presently, and also because of crypto and other currencies just being generally down and trading being volumes being lower, it means that ICOs have to work a bit harder. But despite that, I still see ICOs behaving the same way. Yeah. And now they need to actually apply this 6 principle model of awareness to loyalty, and their goal should be focusing on loyalty first, not money. Mm-hmm. So I'm off my high horse now. I'm done, but I know.
No, it's
driving me insane though. I mean, all these ICOs and startups and I've worked on other startups as an advisor, not ICOs, but I've done strategic advice to other startup companies working with VCs and board level, helping them. And you know what? They just sit there taking the money in and burning the money, and they have no understanding of how to run their business, recognizing that the reason the money came is the investor believes they can get the money out. That's why they're giving the money.
Right. That's a really important thing to remember, because a lot of times they don't think of that.
It's investor relations. They're funding your project. It's an investor relations activity. I'm giving you money because I believe in you, your project, the mission, the direction you're going. You build this thing. And not only might I be an investor, I might be a user of your platform too. Do all of that and do it right, and I will become loyal. I'll become your best ambassador ever. Mm-hmm. Screw it up anywhere along the way, and you can be pretty sure I'm buggering off and I'm out of here. And the thing is, which is really interesting, it's much easier to get people talking negative about a company than positive. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier. You piss off one person, they'll tell 10 people. And those people will say, oh, yeah, I heard about that crap project or that crap company. And they tell 10 people. And then magnifier, it goes from 1 to 100 so quickly. But, brand ambassadors speaking positively, people go, oh, yeah, that was positive. That was great. And then they move on. But people thrive on negative news. So why would you want to create negative news by treating your users badly? Mm-hmm. That's just like a no-brainer, but people go off and do it the wrong way. But it goes to show you how most people try to run businesses. They don't follow these steps. They just jump through the hoops the wrong way in order just to get a quick buck to run their business, forgetting that actually it's all about loyalty and long-term brand ambassadors, and negativity will flow much faster than positivity.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for going through all these steps, because I think, as you mentioned, these are fantastic for ICOs, but also just any company, startup or otherwise, to make sure that you have your customers constantly buying into what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I said the number one mistake is people are just kind of forgetting that you need to go through the steps of awareness leading to usage, which leads to loyalty. And the number one mistake is most people forget about starting with awareness. Mm-hmm. They just go straight to give me money. So, it's just been like bugging me the last couple weeks, and I just had to get it out there.
Sure.
But
Well, thank you
hopefully
for
this
bringing it up.
benefits people. It's a pleasure. I know I've been kind of ranting a bit today, but I mean, hopefully this helps people to recognize, and I hope for anybody listening that this does help you in your businesses. And of course, you can always reach out to Yuri and me anytime just to ask us questions. Both of us have run businesses. We're both out advising businesses. And certainly, I'm sure as much as I'm happy to talk to people, Yuri, you would do the same, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely. Anytime.
And, and you can always reach out to us. People can reach out to us on our channel, Coinvestors, on Telegram, where we have all sorts of lively discussions about everything. But if people want to have breakout discussions, they can PM us. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy to have discussions with people about these topics because it's near and dear to my heart. Anything from you, Yuri, or have I just stunned you silent and you want to say the turkey coin was never going to happen, or it actually is going to happen?
Oh, there's a lot of news on the turkey coin, but I want to save that for another time because I think that once things get sorted out a bit more, it's an episode unto itself.
It is, and we both know we're working on something that what started as a little bit of a joke has now turned into potentially something that could become a reality for many people. That isn't really a joke anymore. It's actually something we're trying to do to solve a big problem for the world. But we're going to leave people kind of dangling on that one for a while longer while we continue to evolve that and continue the discussions we're having with various parties to see what we can do to help and change the world and transform the world and make it a better place whilst solving problems that are hot topics in a lot of things that we know about in terms of data privacy and usage. So we'll just leave it there.
Thank you. I couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I think we should expect some more exciting episodes coming up soon. I know that we've asked Joe Wasson to come back and talk about his other topics around honeypots and was it shards and nimble wimbles. So
and other words I don't know, but yes, I'm excited to bring Joe back again because he is a wealth of information, and it's just like around every corner there's something new that I never thought of that he's like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah. Well, we have to try to stump him again. I stumped him with the uncle, so we got to try to stump him with something else. We'll have to ask him about orphans next time, right, which is another term in mining. We'll see if he knows what an orphan is, but if he's listening to the episodes, then we just gave it away. But just in case he's not listening, then we'll throw an orphan question at him and see if he knows. Probably does.
Probably.
Anyway, great. So let's wrap this up. Stay tuned next week for another exciting episode of the Coin Chat. To the moon. Until next week.